Hello everybody! In today's video, we're going to be looking at the best three-row SUVs in America. Now, there are more SUVs with third-row options than ever before in the US, and we have been able to be in these models and test them out extensively.
And not all of those options are created equal. So we're going to be going through some of the best third rows you can get, because there are some good third rows at low price points and some really bad third rows at high price points. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Now, we said we were going to be looking at every price point. So the first place to start off with is the affordable models. So we kind of divided this into sections by $10,000. This is the under $35,000 mark, and there are three SUVs you can buy under $35,000 in the US with a third row. That's the Mitsubishi Outlander, the Hyundai Santa Fe, and the Kia Sorento. Now, when we're talking about the Outlander, that is the only compact SUV left in the US that has a third row. The Tiguan used to have one and the Rogue, but they no longer offer that.
Yeah, and as far as the Santa Fe and Sorento, those are actually pretty good third rows for that under $35,000 price point, particularly the Santa Fe, which, because of its boxy shape, has a lot of headroom as well as pretty decent legroom.
Yeah, and that Outlander is really just for emergencies only. So when you're looking at that under $35,000 price point, certainly the Korean vehicles are quite the step up from the Outlander.
So in the third row of the Santa Fe, you might expect it to be a horrible place to spend time, given that this segment of vehicle typically doesn't even come with a third row. But I have to say, this is actually a lot better than you might think. 29.9 inches of legroom, and we're going to be sitting at really good headroom figures as well. As I mentioned earlier, I'm 5'9", and look at how much extra headroom I have.
Now, bringing your budget up about $5,000 to $7,000 over a Santa Fe is going to introduce a ton of additional options that you can choose. It's actually going to introduce you 15 total options.
Yeah, that's for sure. So a smaller price difference definitely brings in a lot more choices. That's going to unlock the three-row mid-size SUV segment. So what we've done is actually kind of categorize these in a couple different categories. Your worst options, your middle options, and the best options that are added for that under $45,000 price point. Now, as far as some really highlight vehicles to hit, your best options for under $45,000 would be the Honda Pilot, the Toyota Grand Highlander, the Chevy Traverse and GMC Acadia. They are related to one another. And then the Dodge Durango. Those are really going to have some very impressive third rows for that under $45,000 price point. So if you're looking for a, relatively affordable price, but also a really good third row, those are some very good vehicles to look at, because they're going to offer a lot of space and also a lot of amenities for your family.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the options are going to fit into the mid or the average section. There are some low outliers, though. The Toyota 4Runner, the Toyota Highlander, as well as the Pathfinder. All those three really don't have any advantages over the Santa Fe, which is available at a lower price point.
Very nice. We are sitting at about 33.5 inches of legroom in the Grand Highlander. Those are very good space figures. This seat is slid all the way back in its tracks. Wow, yeah, this is a very, very nice third row, especially for this segment of vehicle. We're sitting at about 32 inches of legroom, about 38 inches of headroom, so just a lot of space overall. This makes it one of the largest things that you can get. Now, I do want to make a special note here. For those of you that are shopping at that under $45,000 price point, you can also choose a minivan. A lot of those options are unlocked right around the $40,000 price point. Now, this video is titled three-row SUVs, so we are not going to be talking about minivans. There are 4 total options, and if you're curious as to learning about maybe what your best options might be, we have videos on the channel that detail that, and you can also go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings and go on our website, and you can actually sort based on different categories that might matter more or less to you, such as technology, family-friendly features, cargo space. All of that is detailed for you on our website, carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. So if you want to make an informed buying decision, we definitely encourage you to check out that tool.
Yeah, and that doesn't just go for minivans, that goes for SUVs and all the categories out there.
If you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Now, moving your budget up another $10,000 from $45,000 to now $55,000, this is where we start to unlock some luxury, adding on to the third rows that we already had. Now, when we're talking about this, though, it doesn't necessarily mean spending more money gets you more space or a better third row experience, though, because you have things such as, for example, the Acura MDX, which has quite the tight third row, that is also lacking in amenities such as rear air vents, which most of the mainstream offerings in the segment below do actually have.
Yeah, that's definitely a very important note there. Now, as far as some of your middle options, the Cadillac XT6 is unlocked at this price point, as well as the Infiniti QX60. Those are going to have better third row experiences than the MDX, but it's still not going to be all that impressive in the grand scheme of things. Now, the best option that is added is the Buick Enclave. Now, you heard us mention the Chevy Traverse and the GMC Acadia in the previous category. The Buick Enclave is barely outside of that price range. $45,100 is your starting point, and it's just going to have a little bit more luxury details than those options, but it still has all the space and features that you want in the third row. So if you're looking for under 55 grand, one of the best third rows, the Buick Enclave's a fantastic choice to check out. So getting in the third row of the Enclave, like I said, this is a big vehicle on the outside. That translates to a lot of second row space and a lot of third row space. 32 inches of legroom to be exact, and about 38 inches of headroom. That's quite a bit larger than even some of the luxury offerings that you might be cross-shopping, such as Acura MDX is going to have a much worse third row than this.
Now, the under $55,000 section was fairly slim in terms of the options it added, but the under $65,000 price bracket, this is where you're really going to unlock a lot more options. You add a few more luxury options, but most importantly, this is where you begin to add in some full-size SUVs. So the full-size SUVs are going to be your biggest options in both the third row and, of course, the cargo capacity. They also add in things like towing if that's something that's important to you. But as far as the third rows are concerned, they're definitely going to be very spacious. They tend to have the most headroom and legroom. Just be aware that under $65,000 is really close to their base prices. So they're going to be super, super basic.
Yeah, we're talking cloth seats and things like that as compared to some of the other options on this list that might be very nicely equipped at that price point. Now, kind of breaking down a few of the individual sections, the Audi Q7 was added. That is falling in the worst category. That's not a very good third row experience, once more, even though it does cost $60,500 as a base price. Some middle options would be the Volvo XC90 that's added on, and the Lincoln Aviator. And then, like Drew said, you get a lot of the best options. So that would be your Chevy Tahoe and Suburban. They start around that $60,000 price point. The Jeep Wagoneer, the Ford Expedition, all right around $61,000 to $62,000, and the Nissan Armada. So really great options. Another one I do want to quickly hit on is the Lexus TX. So you saw the Grand Highlander on the list earlier. This, of course, is the luxury version of the Grand Highlander, and that is finally added as well, and it has a really good third row. Oh, yeah. This is a fantastic third row. As far as the legroom figures are concerned, we're sitting at 36 inches of legroom, about 37 inches of headroom. Those are really great numbers in the Expedition. Oh, yeah. Absolutely a fantastic third row experience here in the Suburban. Now, unlike the second row, we do have additional legroom in the third row if you choose the Suburban versus the Tahoe. We're sitting at about 37 inches of legroom.
Now, say you have a good job and you want to move up that price tier another $10,000. Now we're at the under $75,000 mark. And this is a very interesting category because actually moving your budget from $65,000 to $75,000 doesn't really unlock any meaningful new models in terms of third rows specifically. these are models that are good on many other things, especially luxury, but we're talking about third rows here, and the 3 additions to the lineup are not good for third rows specifically.
Yeah, so what are those additions? That's going to be the Lexus GX. Actually, it's 4 options. Lexus GX, the Mercedes GLE, BMW X5, and Genesis GV80. Now, there are some huge asterisks when it comes to these models because some of them are actually special order. So the GLE and the X5 and really the GV80, you have to get specific versions or special order a third row, so they're really not made to have a third row. The Lexus GX, you do get that on most versions. However, it's not a very good third row, and you'd have a much better experience in the Lexus TX when it comes to third row comfort and space. Of course, the GX does have its own individual pros and cons, but the third row is certainly not a strong suit for really any of the vehicles added on this price point.
And then finally here, we're moving to the last category. This is what we're just calling over $75,000, because this is really the point where you can kind of just go up infinitely depending on how much you want to spend. But it really doesn't get any better than this. At above $75,000, you can really get the luxury and the space that you desire for the third row. Now, you can kind of see some of the options that we have on here, but what I want to point out is this is where you really unlock like really advanced features in addition to the space in the third row. So you get things like power recline. Some of these options have dedicated third row sunroofs, for example, heated third row seats, just kind of wild features that you really won't get unless you spend the big bucks.
Yeah, and they're going to be very, very comfortable overall. Now, as far as breaking down some of the individual options and what categories they land in, this is a prime example of, adding more money doesn't necessarily mean that you'll get a better third row, because there is one option that is added in the worst category, and that's the Lexus LX. That is added. That has a base price of $106,000, yet the third row is really quite terrible. Honestly, it is just as bad as things that cost $35,000. So once again, don't think that because you pay more, you're necessarily going to get automatically a better third row. Now, as far as some mid options on this list, that would be the BMW X7 and Mercedes-Benz GLS. Those are, of course, very luxurious third row experiences, although as far as space is concerned, they're certainly not as big as the options that are body-on-frame traditional SUVs like the Cadillac Escalade, Lincoln Navigator, Infiniti QX80, and Jeep Grand Wagoneer. Those SUVs are so incredibly nice. Like Drew said, they have all the features, so much room. You really would think that you're sitting in a second row seat with a level of luxury and comfort that you're going to find in those models. Really good element when it comes to the Escalade. It's one of the main reasons people buy these vehicles is the third row space. We're sitting at 35 inches of legroom and 38 inches of headroom here in the standard wheelbase version. If you want even more space, you can get the ESV. That extends your legroom out to about 36 inches of legroom in the third row. It's really a fantastic place to spend time. Additionally, off to the side of that, you may be able to see it right now, we have heated third row seats. That's an Autograph exclusive feature to have a heated third row. You also have the ability to power recline your seats to give yourself a little bit more comfortable.
All right, so let's recap a little bit here with some highlighted products. So, the cheapest way in America to get a 3-row SUV is going to be the Mitsubishi Outlander. Your base price of that is $29,640. Now, of course, like we said, just because it's there doesn't mean that it's a great option, because it is in the worst category still. But also you have the most expensive SUV that's in the worst category. That's the Lexus LX. Quite the price delta from that under $30,000 price point, because that jumps up to over $105,000 for that model.
Yeah. Now, if you're really wanting a best third row, which, of course, if you clicked on this video, you probably are, we would recommend spending right around that at least $40,000 price point, because that's going to unlock you a lot of options. So with the, best options, you could get the Dodge Durango, the Honda Pilot, the Grand Highlander, or the Chevy Traverse or Acadia. Those are all right around that $40,000 price point. The cheapest one of the bunch is the Durango, which is actually $38,000 as a starting point. But of course, if you want all the space and all the luxury features that you can get, the body-on-frame full-size SUVs are going to be your best bet, which keep in mind they are very expensive. The Escalade, the Navigator, Jeep Grand Wagoneer, QX80, those are all going to be some of the best options you can get.
Yeah, those are the best have-it-all options, you could say.
So that's it. That's your best third row SUV options in America at every price point, ranging all the way down to $30,000, way up to well over $100,000. Hopefully you found this video helpful. There are a ton of options. As we mentioned at the very beginning, there are more options than ever before. So we know that can be very confusing. So hopefully this video helped you to kind of narrow down what options you might want to be looking at, especially if you're prioritizing that third row and the third row comfort. Now, we do want to remind you, if you're looking to buy any of the vehicles that we mentioned on this list or any new vehicle, to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. We even have a monthly payment tool, so if you'd like to check that out, we certainly recommend following that link in our video description and the pinned comment down below. But guys, that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please hit that subscribe button down below. If you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. And of course, keep in mind when it comes to picking your individual choice for the best third row for you and your family, it's going to depend on specific needs and different aspects. So if you'd like to learn more about any of the vehicles on this list, chances are we have been in it and reviewed it multiple times. So be sure to check out those videos. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.